Hi there, I'm Alex Bertay. Thank you for joining us here at the Heights School and for tuning into Mentor's Compass. Today's topic, when should I get my son a smartphone? Now, I know you've been thinking about it. If you haven't done it already, or maybe if you have done it, you're starting to wonder, was it actually a good idea? Now, why is this a big deal? Well, because I think the whole world is going crazy. Right? In the span of a week, it happened about a month ago, I went to a park where everyone, at least 20 people, had their faces glued to their phone. And I'm not kidding you, everyone. It was just weird. I stepped in dog doo around my house more times than I care to admit. And I've realized it's because a lot of dog walkers in my neighborhood aren't paying attention to their dogs. They're looking at their phones while their dog is doing their business. I had to actually buy a sign that says, "Thank you for cleaning up after your dog." Anyways, but the real zinger, right, is within the span of this week, I went into a restaurant, coffee shop, grocery store, and everywhere I went, I was just alarmed at the number of families, okay, not just individuals, but families. I'm talking kids with their parents, where everybody was on their own device while together. This is a problem, okay? This is a real problem. So, and I feel like we're just letting it happen, right? So I'm going to go into some of the benefits of technology. I think they're obvious by now, but then also kind of the dark, ugly side that you need to be aware of, or at least remind yourself of before you make that decision to get your son a smartphone, or if he's already got one, what you can do to kind of rein it in. Now let me back up for a second. I think technology is awesome. It's so useful. I mean, I love doing my banking from my phone, transferring funds, paying bills. I love chatting in real time with my college buddies across the states or with my family members across the globe. And it's really handy to know that I can research anything if I need to right now on my phone, like how to fix a leaky toilet. Thank you, YouTube, that actually happened. And I routinely use Google Drive, my GPS, put on some music I like. It's all on my phone. Right? I could go on and on and on. Right? You guys know this. So I'm all for technology when it fosters true connections, when it grants access to important information that's really needed, when it enables you to be a bit more efficient and spend less time on administrative tasks that could be expedited, and instead you can put your time into more worthwhile endeavors or projects or with loved ones. But we also know that there's an ugly side, right? And we got to look at it in order to help our boys to use technology properly, to be men fully alive, to inform our decision of whether or not to get our son a smartphone or when that should be. Here's some statistics you should know about. American teenagers spend on average 7.5 hours a day on screens. Allow that number to sink in for a moment. 7.5 hours. Another stat. The average American checks their phone 50 times a day. I don't think I do anything 50 times a day except breathe or chew my food. It's a lot of interruptions. This next stat is a little scary. Children between the ages of 2 to 6 spend 2 to 4 hours a day on screens. Now that can't be good. Those little brains are not designed to handle that kind of stimulation. Some other stats, 70% of people bring their phone to bed. 80% of adults bring their work device on vacation, not much of a vacation. And the last one I want to share, and there are many others, but I'm just giving you a few, texting while driving is directly responsible for 1 out of 4 accidents. I think it makes it more dangerous than drinking and driving at this point. So I could go on. So your son really wants a smartphone. Everyone has one. He wants to stay connected with his friends. He wants to be in the know. It's how kids communicate these days. Everybody's got one. So what are you risking by getting him one? Studies have shown that more time on screens is strongly correlated with increased rates of depression, decreased rates of happiness, decreased sense of social connection, increased stress, increases in heart rate and blood pressure, disrupted sleep, increased distractedness, inattentiveness, and hyperactivity. This is real, folks. The research is catching up with what the Heights has been saying for a long time and what you know intuitively. Technology done right is awesome. Technology for the sake of having technology without restrictions is harmful. Kids are not adults. They don't have the same capacity for self-control, for moderation, for temperance that adults do. They indulge if the opportunity is there, and with the smartphone, the opportunity is certainly there. Each ping, each notification makes the next one harder and harder to resist. And the more checking a boy does, the quicker he develops patterns of shallow thinking, of scattered attention, of inefficient yet habitual multitasking, jumping from one thing to the next. But it's not just his cognitive abilities and executive functioning abilities that scientifically have proven to be impaired. It's their moral compass and emotional development that also takes a hit. Studies have revealed that kids who spend excessive amounts of time on their devices have less empathy. They have less tolerance for messy emotions like sadness, anger, disappointment. They have less tolerance for just being bored or hanging out alone with their thoughts. And the development of their social skills is stunted because they prefer distance to closeness in their relationships. So it's a kind of superficial existence. And the last thing I want to highlight, if your son has a smartphone, right, if he's a middle schooler or just getting into high school, he's going to look at pornography. You can bet the farm on that. He can be the most virtuous boy around, but sooner or later, either he will find it or it will find him. So back to our original question, when should your son get a smartphone? I'd say delay as long as possible. He doesn't need one in middle school. He certainly doesn't need one in elementary school or lower school. It's debatable how much he even needs one in high school. But with everything I've shared, when you do decide to get him one, if you do, it makes sense to make sure that your son has a good head on his shoulders before giving him one, that he lives with purpose, that he displays discipline, that he's got a solid moral compass. And to that end, I've got some ideas for what you can do at home to model a healthy relationship with technology for your son. So here's a few ideas that you might consider. You could designate screen-free times, locations, and activities at your house. For example, no phones at the dinner table. You can discourage multitasking and instead encourage one thing at a time. I remember when I was applying for jobs right out of college, many of the jobs said multitasking a must. Joke's on them. That's horrible for your brain and you're so much less efficient. Another idea, right? When you take something away, you got to put something in there. Talk to your kids more. I know how tired you parents must be when you get home from work or it's been a long day, whether you work outside the home or inside the home and you're just kind of spent, right? But you got to talk to your kids more. You got to reclaim meal times, play times, make time for solitary time, reflection, prayer. Reclaim outdoor time. Don't be like those good people who I saw at Cabin John Trail who were glued to their phones, right? Enjoy nature. That actually has been shown to be so restorative to our sense of well-being and balance and all these other good things. Reclaim reading books, right? Playing instruments, exercising, go to sleep on time, right? There's an idea I heard it's called digital sundown. When the sun goes down, turn off your TV, your computer, your phone. All right? For some people that might not be possible, but it's an idea worth considering, but it's not a bad thing to figure out how you can unplug. When you go on vacation, put your phones away. Don't bring your work laptop. Boundaries, people. Boundaries, right? Another idea, maybe learn something new, right? Model that for your son. Oh, I'm going to learn how to play guitar, piano, or taking this new class, or I got this book on this particular part of history that I'm interested in. Something to challenge the brain. These are all things that are good for you and can help give a sense of fulfillment, productivity, enrichment, right? Something that we don't necessarily get from our phones and we certainly don't get if we have addictive behaviors towards it. So that's all the time we have for this week. Hopefully you walk away with some ideas that you will take into consideration for when to get your son a smartphone, or if he already has one, how you can rein it in a little bit. You can always feel free to contact us here at the Heights School. Feel free to reach out to me if you want, or if you're interested in any of the resources that I pulled from to put this talk together, this video together. But in any case, thank you. I'm Alex Bertay here at Mentors Compass, and I look forward to seeing you next week.